Commander Alex Riley rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at her monitor. The blue light from the screen was the only illumination in her small office at the Galactic Council headquarters on Centauri Prime. Everyone else had gone home hours ago, but Alex had stayed behind to prepare for tomorrow's diplomatic meeting. The headquarters was eerily quiet at this late hour. The usual bustle of diplomats from 100 different species had faded, leaving only the soft hum of air recyclers. Alex sipped her cold coffee and grimaced. She had been working for almost 16 hours straight, reviewing trade agreements between Earth and the Proxima colonies. She was about to log off when a notification popped up on her screen. A new batch of files had been uploaded to the diplomatic database, routine council minutes that she needed to review before morning. Alex sighed and opened the folder, expecting more dry procedural notes. As she scrolled through the documents, something caught her eye. A file labeled Special Session 447B Threat Assessment Protocol. It was marked with a security clearance far above her level. Alex frowned. This shouldn't be in her folder. Someone in data management had made a mistake. Protocol dictated that she should report the breach immediately. But curiosity made her hesitate. Special sessions were rare, called only for matters of extreme galactic importance, and threat assessments were typically conducted for species exhibiting dangerous behavior patterns. Just a quick peek, she muttered to herself, glancing at the door to make sure she was still alone. She opened the file. The first page made her blood run cold. The document was dated 5 years ago, long before Alex had been assigned to Centauri Prime. At the top, in stark official lettering, were the words, Assessment of Human Expansion Patterns and Recommended Containment Strategies. Alex's hands trembled as she scrolled further. The document detailed a secret vote held by the Council's inner circle, the 12 most powerful members of the Galactic Council. The vote had been on whether to classify humanity as a Class 1 threat to galactic stability. Class 1 designation was the most severe category. Species given this label were considered too dangerous to be allowed continued expansion. The document outlined several containment strategies, ranging from technology restrictions to what was clinically termed species regression protocols. Extinction. They had voted on whether to wipe out humanity. Alex felt sick. Her coffee mug slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor, but she barely noticed. She read the voting record with growing horror. 5 council members had voted against the measure. 6 had voted for it. The deciding vote had been cast by Ambassador Zixtalar of the Andorian Federation. The tall, blue-skinned diplomat had voted against classification, noting that despite concerning patterns of rapid expansion and technological development, humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability and potential for cooperation. That single vote had saved humanity from a fate they never knew had been considered. Alex downloaded the file to her personal device, her mind racing. The most disturbing part wasn't the past vote. It was the note at the end of the document. A motion had been filed to revisit the assessment at the upcoming Centennial Assembly, just 3 weeks away. New evidence would be presented showing that humans were developing technologies that could destabilize the careful balance of power in the galaxy. As she prepared to leave, Alex noticed another file in the batch, correspondence between council members discussing the human question. She downloaded this too, then carefully covered her tracks in the system. The night air was cool as Alex left the building. The 3 moons of Centauri Prime cast an ethereal glow over the sprawling council complex. Under different circumstances, Alex might have paused to admire the view. Now the beauty seemed like a mask hiding ugly truths. Back in her apartment, Alex pored over the documents until dawn. The correspondence revealed disturbing details. Several council species harbored deep mistrust of humans. They pointed to Earth's history of internal conflicts, the rapid pace of human innovation, and their unpredictable nature. Most concerning were references to something discovered in the Arcturus sector, something that responded uniquely to human neural patterns. By morning, Alex had reached a decision. She needed help, but she couldn't trust the normal channels. Earth's own representatives might be compromised, or worse, involved. There was only one person she trusted completely, someone with the skills to help her understand what she'd discovered. Her former partner, Jack Foster. Jack had been discharged from the diplomatic corps 2 years ago under mysterious circumstances. Official records cited conduct unbecoming, but Alex had never believed it. They had worked together for 5 years in intelligence before Alex had been promoted to commander. Jack knew how to find information that didn't want to be found. Now, he worked as a civilian consultant on one of Earth's outer colonies. Alex hadn't spoken to him since his discharge. Their last conversation had been a bitter argument when she'd chosen to stay with the Corps instead of resigning in protest over his treatment. Alex composed a message carefully, using their old encryption method. She avoided specifics but made it clear this was urgent. Jack, I know it's been a while. I found something about a vote that affects everyone we know. I need your help. The centennial is in 3 weeks. Remember our old meeting spot on Luna? Tomorrow, 1600 hours. Before sending it, Alex hesitated. Getting Jack involved might put him in danger. The council had resources everywhere. If they discovered she had accessed classified files, her career would be the least of her worries. But humanity had nearly been voted out of existence once. She couldn't let it happen again. Alex sent the message, then began packing a small bag. She would need to move quickly now. Request emergency leave, book passage to Luna, and prepare what evidence she had. Someone on the council was pushing to revisit humanity's status, and this time they might have enough votes to succeed. As the first light of dawn broke over the spires of the council buildings, Alex looked out her window at the aliens walking below. Representatives of 20 different species all going about their morning routines. How many of them knew about the vote? How many would support eliminating humans if given the chance? For the first time since joining the diplomatic corps, Commander Alex Riley felt like a stranger in a dangerous place. The galaxy she had sworn to serve had almost destroyed her kind without them ever knowing. Now she had 3 weeks to stop it from happening again. She just hoped Jack would agree to help. Jack Foster sat alone at a corner table in the Luna Base outpost, a dimly lit bar frequented by spacers and off-duty military personnel. The place smelled of cheap synthetic alcohol and recycled air. Jack nursed a glass of amber liquid, his eyes fixed on the entrance. He had received Alex's message yesterday. His first instinct had been to ignore it. Their last conversation 2 years ago had ended with harsh words that still stung. But curiosity had gotten the better of him. Alex wouldn't reach out unless it was truly important. The door slid open and Jack straightened in his seat. Commander Alex Riley walked in, looking much the same as he remembered her. Tall, confident, with short brown hair now streaked with a few strands of gray. She wore civilian clothes, not her uniform, and carried a small travel bag. Her eyes scanned the room until they found him. "Jack," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Thank you for coming." "Couldn't resist a cryptic message about a vote that affects everyone," he replied. "Though I have to say you look terrible." Alex managed a tired smile. "Haven't slept much since I found the files." A server droid approached and Alex ordered water. Jack noticed her hands trembling slightly as she placed her bag on the table between them. "So, what's this about?" Jack asked once the droid had moved away. Alex leaned forward and lowered her voice. 5 years ago, the Galactic Council's inner circle held a secret vote on whether humanity should be classified as a Class 1 threat. Jack's expression hardened. "Class 1? That's the too dangerous to exist category." "Exactly. The vote was 6-5 against us. 1 vote, Jack. We survived by 1 vote. Jack took a long sip from his glass, processing the information. "How did you find this out?" "Misplaced file in the diplomatic database, but that's not all." Alex pulled out her personal device and slid it across the table. "They're planning to vote again at the Centennial Assembly, 3 weeks from now." Jack reviewed the files, his face growing darker with each swipe of his finger. "This is bad, Alex, really bad, and you're sure these are authentic?" "Verified the digital signatures myself." Jack handed the device back. "Why come to me? You could have taken this to Earth's representative on the council." "Senator Bell?" Alex shook her head. "I don't know who to trust. These files suggest some Humans might be aware of the vote. Besides, you always were better at digging up secrets than anyone else in the Corps. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Alex's water. When the droid left, Jack spoke again. You do realize that, by showing me these files, you've committed about 6 different violations of Council security protocols? 7, actually, Alex said with a grim smile. But what choice do I have? If this vote happens again and if it goes the other way... She left the sentence unfinished. Jack was quiet for a moment. Then he leaned back in his chair. I know someone who might be able to help us, a journalist named Lyra Novak. She specializes in council corruption stories. Got herself banned from 3 different council facilities for her exposés. Can she be trusted? Alex asked. About as much as anyone can be in this situation, but she has contacts I don't, and she hates council secrets even more than I do. Alex nodded slowly. Contact her. But carefully. We don't know who might be watching. I'll need more than these fragments to convince her, Jack said, gesturing to the device. We need to know who pushed for this vote originally and who's behind the new motion. I have 3 days of emergency leave. After that, they'll expect me back on Centauri Prime. Jack finished his drink. Then we'd better work, fast. The next morning, they met Lyra Novak in an abandoned maintenance tunnel beneath Luna City. Lyra was younger than Alex had expected, with short red hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She listened without interruption as they explained what they had discovered. I've suspected the Council has been hiding something big, Lyra said when they finished. But this, a vote to wipe out an entire species, that's beyond anything I've uncovered before. Can you help us find out more? Alex asked. Lyra tapped her fingers against her knee, thinking. I have a source in the Rigelian delegation, a data analyst named Nelb. He's sympathetic to humans, has family ties to Earth through his bond partner. If anyone can safely access more council records, it's him. Jack looked skeptical. And why would he risk his position to help us? Because the Rigelians would be next, Lyra said simply. Their biological profile is similar enough to humans that whatever frightens the Council about your species would likely apply to them too. They agreed to meet Nelb the following day. In the meantime, Jack suggested they approach Senator Peter Bell cautiously, to gauge if he knew anything about the previous vote. Bell's Luna office was located in the Diplomatic Quarter, a gleaming section of the base that contrasted sharply with the utilitarian design of the rest of the colony. Alex went alone, using her commander credentials to secure a brief meeting. Senator Bell was a tall, thin man with carefully styled gray hair and the polished manner of a career politician. He seemed surprised to see Alex but welcomed her warmly. Enough. Commander Riley, this is unexpected. What brings Earth's rising diplomatic star to my humble Luna office? Alex chose her words carefully. Senator, in my work I've come across some concerning information about Council attitudes toward humanity. I wanted to discuss it with you directly. Bell's smile remained fixed, but something flickered in his eyes. Of course. What specifically troubles you? Sir, are you aware that the Council held a vote 5 years ago on whether to classify humanity as a Class 1 threat? The senator's smile vanished. He stared at Alex for a long moment, then pressed a button on his desk. The windows of his office darkened and a soft hum indicated that privacy shields had activated. Where did you get this information, Commander? Bell's voice had lost all its warmth. Then you didn't know, Alex said, watching his reaction carefully. Bell ran a hand through his perfect hair, messing it up slightly. No, I did not. Are you certain of this? Alex nodded. The vote is scheduled to be revisited at the Centennial Assembly. The senator paled visibly. This could trigger an immediate diplomatic crisis if it became public, possibly worse. He looked directly at Alex. What do you intend to do with this information? Find out why the Council fears us enough to consider our elimination and stop the vote from happening again. Bell was silent for several seconds. Be careful, Commander. If what you say is true, powerful forces are at work. He seemed about to say more when his communication device buzzed. He checked it and frowned. I'm needed at an emergency session. We'll speak again soon. As Alex left the senator's office, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had just placed herself in even greater danger. But there was no turning back now. Tomorrow they would meet Nelb, and hopefully get closer to understanding why the galaxy had nearly erased humanity from existence. Nelb the Rigelian was not what Alex had expected. Standing just over 5 feet tall with pale blue skin and large diamond-shaped pupils, he seemed nervous as he met them in the back room of a data repair shop in Luna City's industrial sector. His translator device hung around his neck, occasionally giving off soft beeps as it processed language. I am risking much by meeting you, Nelb said, his translated voice flat and mechanical. If the Council discovers I have helped humans access restricted information, I will lose not just my position, but potentially my citizenship. We understand the risk, Jack said. And we're grateful. Lyra placed a hand on Nelb's thin shoulder. You're doing the right thing. If they can vote to eliminate humans in secret, any species could be next. Nelb's large eyes blinked rapidly. Yes, this is why I help. The Council was founded on principles of cooperation and transparency. Secret votes on species elimination violate our most sacred laws. They gathered around a small table where Nelb had set up a secure terminal. Using his access codes, he began searching through the Council's classified archives. His long, 6-fingered hands moved with impressive speed across the interface. The vote records are heavily encrypted, he explained, but I can access the Arcturus sector research files that were referenced in your documents. The screen filled with data as Nelb bypassed security protocols. Alex leaned forward, trying to make sense of the technical information. There, Nelby said, pointing to a section of the screen. 5 years ago, a Council research vessel discovered unusual technology in the ruins on Arcturus IV. The technology responded uniquely to human neural patterns. Jack frowned. What does that mean exactly? The ancient devices activated only when humans were present, Nelb explained. They remained dormant for all other species. This created significant concern among certain Council members who believed it might indicate humans have a connection to the precursors. The precursors? Alex asked. I thought they were just a legend. Lyra shook her head. Every major galactic culture has stories about them, an advanced species that supposedly seeded technology throughout the galaxy millions of years ago before mysteriously vanishing. If humans could access precursor technology while other species couldn't, Jack reasoned, that would certainly make us seem threatening. Nelb continued searching through files. There is more. The original vote was prompted by Ambassador Zixtalar of the Andorian Federation, who argued against classification. But the new vote... He paused, his eyes widening. The new vote was requested by Ambassador Susan Wright of Earth. Alex felt as if the air had been sucked from the room. That's impossible. Why would humanity's own ambassador vote for our elimination? Nelb's fingers moved across the interface again. According to these records, Ambassador Wright has submitted new evidence claiming human access to precursor technology poses an imminent threat to galactic stability. The revelation hung heavy in the air. Susan Wright was Earth's most respected diplomat, a veteran of countless negotiations who had helped humanity secure its place in the galactic community. We need to speak with Wright, Alex said firmly. Find out why she's turned against her own species. That won't be easy, Jack replied. As Earth's highest-ranked official in the Council, she'll be heavily protected, especially if she's involved in something this big. Lyra was typing rapidly on her own device. My sources say Wright is scheduled to return to Luna tomorrow for high-level meetings before the Centennial Assembly. It might be our only chance to confront her. They spent the rest of the day planning how to approach Wright without alerting Council security. As they worked, Nelb continued digging through the classified files, looking for any information that might explain the ambassador's betrayal. Suddenly, Nelb's terminal emitted a shrill alarm. The Rigelian's hands froze over the interface. We've been detected, he said, voice tight with fear. Security protocols are tracing this access point. Jack moved quickly, disconnecting power to the terminal. How much time do we have? Minutes at most, Nelb replied. We must leave now. They hurriedly gathered their equipment. Lyra saved what data they had uncovered to a secure drive while Jack erased all traces of their presence from the shop's systems. Split up, Alex ordered. Nelb, go with Lyra. Jack and I will head to the Eastern District. We'll meet at the backup location in 6 hours. They barely made it out of the building before security drones appeared in the sky above the shop. Alex and Jack blended into the crowd of workers ending their shifts in the industrial sector, while Lyra and Nelb took a service tunnel that led toward the commercial district. Hours later, at an abandoned storage unit they had secured as a safe house, Alex paced nervously. Jack sat at a makeshift desk reviewing the files Nelb had managed to extract before they were discovered. Lyra and Nelb should have been here by now, Alex said, checking the time again. Jack looked up from the files. Give them time. Luna City is crawling with security tonight. Just as Alex was about to suggest they search for their missing allies, the door slid open. Lyra rushed in, her face pale. She was alone. They got Nelb, she said, out of breath. Counsel. Security intercepted us near the transit hub. He told me to run while he delayed them. She handed Alex the data drive. He made sure I got out with this. Alex took the drive, feeling a weight of responsibility. Did they identify you? Lyra shook her head. I don't think so. I was wearing a hooded coat, and the lighting was poor. What's on the drive? Jack asked. Everything Nelb found about the Arcturus discovery, Lyra replied, and communication logs between Ambassador Wright and other council members who voted for human classification. They connected the drive to a secure viewer. The files revealed a disturbing picture. For years, Ambassador Wright had been receiving classified reports about human interactions with precursor technology. The reports included predictions of resource conflicts between humans and at least 3 other species within the next century. She thinks she's saving billions of lives, Alex said quietly, reading Wright's private communications, by sacrificing humanity before we can trigger these conflicts. Jack's expression was hard. She's made a choice to betray her own kind based on predictions and theories. We need to confront her with this, make her see what she's doing. According to the files, Ambassador Wright would arrive at the Luna diplomatic terminal the next morning for a brief stopover before continuing to Earth. It would be their only opportunity to speak with her before the Centennial Assembly. None of them slept much that night. Each was weighed down by the knowledge that the fate of humanity might rest in their hands. Alex thought of Nelb, now likely being interrogated by Council security. The Regellian had risked everything to help them, and they couldn't let his sacrifice be in vain. Morning came too quickly. They made final preparations for their confrontation with Ambassador Wright. The plan was simple but dangerous. Intercept Wright during her transfer between arrival and departure terminals, using Lyra's press credentials to gain access. As they prepared to leave the safe house, an urgent news alert flashed across their screens. Alex felt her blood turn cold as she read the headline. Ambassador Susan Wright found dead in Centauri Prime residence, apparent suicide. The mission had just changed completely. The news of Ambassador Wright's death changed everything. Alex, Jack, and Lyra gathered around the screen, watching the report in stunned silence. The official statement claimed Wright had taken her own life, leaving a note expressing regret for actions taken against the interests of Earth. No specific details were provided. This is no coincidence, Jack said, turning away from the screen. Wright was going to meet with us. Now she's dead. Lyra was already searching through her journalist contacts. My sources say Wright scheduled an urgent trip to Luna just hours before her death. She told her staff she needed to speak with someone important. Us, Alex said quietly. She wanted to talk to us. But how did she know we were investigating? Jack wondered. Alex thought for a moment. Senator Bell. I told him about the vote. He must have contacted Wright. They debated what to do next. Their main lead was gone, and without Wright, they had no way to understand why she had voted against humanity or what evidence she planned to present at the upcoming Centennial Assembly. We need to see what's in that suicide note, Lyra said. My guess is it's either fake or doesn't tell the whole story. Jack shook his head. Council security will have locked everything down. We can't get near Wright's residence or personal files. Alex had been quiet, thinking. Now she looked up. Before she died, Wright accessed files about the Arcturus sector, Discovery. Nelb's data shows she downloaded something from a secure server node on Europa. Europa? Lyra asked. Jupiter's moon? What would the Council have there? It's the location of Project Oracle, Jack said, studying the data on the screen. Whatever that is. Alex made a decision. We need to go to Europa. It's our only lead. Now. Getting to Europa wouldn't be easy. After Wright's death, security throughout the solar system had tightened. Earth authorities announced they were cooperating with a council investigation into the ambassador's death. Travel between settlements was being closely monitored. Lyra provided the solution. I have press credentials for covering the water mining operations on Europa. I can get us transport on a supply ship leaving in 6 hours. We'll be listed as my technical crew. The journey to Europa took 2 days. They traveled on a crowded cargo vessel that smelled of industrial lubricants and too many people in too small a space. The ship was filled with workers, engineers, and a few other journalists, all headed to the various stations and facilities that dotted Europa's icy surface. No one paid much attention to them. Lyra's credentials were accepted without question, and Alex and Jack blended in with the other support staff. But they all felt the tension. News broadcasts reported growing unrest on Earth and its colonies as rumors spread about Ambassador Wright's death. Some claimed she had been murdered by alien species who feared human expansion. Others suggested internal political conflicts. Martial law had been declared in several Earth colonies after violent protests. When they finally arrived at Europa Station, the main human settlement on the Jovian moon, Alex was struck by how isolated it felt. The station was built mostly underground, beneath the moon's thick ice shell, with only a few surface structures marking its location. Harsh lights illuminated corridors carved through the ice, and the constant background hum of machinery reminded everyone that survival here depended entirely on technology. Project Oracle's location isn't listed in any public database, Jack said as they settled into the small room Lyra had secured for them. But according to the files Nelb found, it's somewhere in Sector 7, near the Connemara Chaos region. That's a restricted research zone, Lyra noted. Heavy security, limited access. My press pass won't get us in there. Alex studied the station maps they had downloaded. There's a maintenance tunnel system that runs throughout the station, including beneath Sector 7. If we can access that, we might be able to find a way in. Getting into the maintenance tunnels proved surprisingly easy. Jack's background in intelligence work came in handy as he bypassed a service entrance lock. Soon they were making their way through narrow passages that ran beneath the main station. The tunnels were cramped and poorly lit, with pipes and cables running along the walls. After an hour of careful navigation, they reached a section beneath Sector 7. Jack consulted the station's schematics. There should be an access point just ahead that leads up into the restricted zone. They found the access hatch, but it was secured with a high-level encryption lock. Jack examined it and frowned. This is military grade. I can't bypass it with what we have. Alex was about to suggest they find another way when Lyra pointed to a marking on the wall next to the hatch. Look at that symbol. I've seen it before in council documents. It's the emblem for Project Oracle. The symbol showed a stylized eye with what looked like data streams flowing into it. Below the symbol was a name, Dr. Paul Wilson, Research Director. Wilson, Jack said. That name was in Wright's communications. He's the human scientist who's been leading the research on precursor technology. They couldn't get through the hatch, but now they had another lead. They returned to the public areas of the station, and Lyra used her journalist credentials to access the station's personnel directory. Dr. Paul Wilson was listed as a senior researcher in the Advanced Predictive Technologies Division. His quarters are in the Scientific Residential section, Lyra said, much less secure than the research areas. They decided to approach Wilson directly. It was risky, But with time running out before the Centennial Assembly, they had few options. They waited until the station's night cycle, when most residents would be in their quarters, then made their way to the scientific section. Dr. Wilson's quarters were in a quiet corridor. Alex knocked on the door, her heart pounding. There was no answer. She knocked again, louder. Still nothing. Jack examined the door lock. Standard issue, I can open it. Breaking into a scientist's quarters, Lyra whispered. That's going to get us arrested. We're already wanted for accessing classified council information, Alex reminded her. This can't make it much worse. Jack had the door open in seconds. They slipped inside and closed it behind them. The lights came on automatically, revealing a spartanly furnished room. A desk covered in data pads and notes stood against one wall. A small sleeping area was visible through a doorway. Alex moved to check the sleeping area while Jack examined the desk. Lyra stayed by the door, keeping watch. He's not here, Alex reported, returning from the bedroom. Bed hasn't been slept in. Jack held up a data pad. Look at this. Instructions for emergency evacuation of Project Oracle, dated today. They quickly searched the rest of the quarters. In a hidden compartment beneath the desk, they found a secure storage device and a handwritten note. If found, deliver to Commander Alex Riley, Earth Diplomatic Corps. The truth about Oracle must be known. Alex stared at the note in shock. He knew my name. He was expecting us. Before they could process this new information, alarms began blaring throughout the station. A computerized voice announced over the speakers, "Security alert. Unauthorized access detected in Research Sector 7. All personnel return to quarters immediately." "We need to go," Jack said urgently. "Now." As they hurried toward the door, a deafening explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. Emergency lighting came on seconds later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. From somewhere not far away, they heard the sounds of weapons fire and shouting. "What's happening?" Lyra asked, her voice tight with fear. Alex clutched the storage device they had found. "I think someone doesn't want the truth about Project Oracle to get out. They needed to find safety and access the information on the device. The fate of humanity might depend on what Dr. Wilson had left for them to find." The station shook with another explosion as Alex, Jack, and Lyra ran through the red-lit corridors. Emergency sirens blared. Station personnel rushed in all directions, some heading to safety shelters, others moving toward the source of the attack. "This way," Jack said, pulling them down a side passage. "We need to find somewhere quiet to access that storage device." They ducked into a small maintenance room filled with cleaning equipment. Jack secured the door while Lyra kept watch through a small window. Alex pulled out the storage device they had found in Dr. Wilson's quarters. "It needs a biometric scan," she said, examining the device. "Specifically, my biometric scan. Wilson really did intend this for me." She pressed her thumb against the scanner. The device hummed and then projected a holographic display. Dr. Paul Wilson's face appeared, looking tired and afraid. "Commander Riley, if you're seeing this, then my fears were justified," the recording began. "I don't have much time. Project Oracle must be shut down before the Centennial Assembly." Wilson's image glanced nervously over his shoulder. "Oracle isn't what they told us it was. We thought we were developing predictive software to prevent conflicts, but the truth is far worse." Wilson explained that Project Oracle had started 5 years ago after the discovery in the Arcturus sector. The ancient technology they found wasn't just responsive to human neural patterns, it was a precursor, quantum computing system capable of viewing potential futures with frightening accuracy. "We reverse-engineered it," Wilson continued. "Created our own version that could predict the actions of other species with 97% accuracy. Earth's military leadership began using these predictions to gain advantages in diplomatic negotiations." Alex, Jack, and Lyra exchanged shocked glances as Wilson's message continued. "The Council didn't vote to eliminate humanity because they feared our expansion," Wilson said. "They voted because they detected the quantum signatures from Oracle and realized we were manipulating galactic politics." Ambassador Wright discovered this after the vote. She believed that by supporting a new vote, she could force Earth to abandon the project without revealing its existence. The recording showed Wilson accessing files on his computer. Oracle predicted a coup in the Zilari Imperium that hasn't happened yet. It predicted resource wars between humans and 3 other species within a century. But the predictions are based on current trajectories. They can be changed. The station shook again with another explosion, closer this time. Dust fell from the ceiling of their hiding place. "We need to move," Jack urged. "Whatever's happening, we don't want to be caught here." "Wait," Alex said as Wilson's recording continued. "I've loaded all the evidence onto this device," Wilson said. The origin of Oracle, the predictions it made, and proof that 6 other council species have been developing similar technologies in secret. None of them know about the others. Each thinks they alone possess this advantage. Wilson's image leaned closer to the camera. The system was not designed for this. The more these predictive engines operate, the more unstable the quantum field becomes. If they continue, the consequences could be catastrophic for all species. The recording ended with Wilson giving them access codes to broadcast the evidence throughout the galaxy. The secret votes, the hidden technologies, all of it needs to be exposed. It's the only way to stop what's coming. As the hologram faded, they heard footsteps approaching outside. Jack peeked through the door and quickly pulled back. "Council Special Forces," he whispered, "at least 6 of them, heavily armed. They must be looking for Wilson's data," Alex said, securing the device in her pocket. Lyra pointed to a ventilation shaft in the ceiling. "That's our way out." They climbed through the shaft, making their way through the station's infrastructure, until they reached a communications center. Most of the staff had evacuated, leaving the equipment unattended. "This is our chance," Alex said. "We can use Wilson's access codes to broadcast everything." Jack hesitated. "Are you sure about this? Once this information is out, there's no going back. It will cause chaos throughout the galaxy." Alex thought about all they had learned. The secret vote, Ambassador Wright's death, Project Oracle. The alternative is worse. More secret votes, more hidden technologies, more manipulation. Wilson was right, it needs to stop. Lyra nodded. "I'll help set up the broadcast. My journalism encryption will make it harder for them to shut us down." As they worked to prepare the broadcast, they monitored the emergency channels. The attack on the station had been contained, but reports were coming in about council forces searching for fugitives with stolen technology. They didn't have much time. "We need a plan for after the broadcast," Jack said. "They'll know exactly where it came from." Alex had been thinking about this. "We're not running. Once this is out, we need to go directly to the Centennial Assembly." "That's suicide," Lyra protested. "No," Alex said firmly. "It's our best chance. Once everyone knows the truth, they'll want answers. We'll give them a solution instead of just exposing the problem." Finally, the broadcast was ready. Alex inserted Wilson's device into the communication console. With a deep breath, she activated the transmission. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," the system confirmed. "Message will reach all council worlds within 30 minutes. The evidence was now streaming across the galaxy. The secret vote to eliminate humanity, Project Oracle's manipulation of galactic politics, and the proof that 6 other species had been developing similar technologies. Nothing could stop it now. "Let's go," Alex said. "We need to get to Earth and then to Centauri Prime for the assembly." They managed to secure passage on an emergency shuttle leaving Europa Station. As they departed, they watched news reports, beginning to appear across different networks. The information was spreading faster than they had anticipated. Protests were erupting on dozens of worlds as populations learned about the secret votes and hidden technologies. 3 days later, Alex stood before the hastily convened emergency session of the Galactic Council. The Grand Chamber on Centauri Prime was filled to capacity. Representatives from every council species were present, many having traveled at maximum speed to attend. Council President Valdrex, a tall, gray-skinned diplomat from one of the oldest council species, called for order as Alex approached the central podium. "Commander Riley," Valdrick said, "you stand before this council accused of stealing classified information, interfering with council security, and broadcasting sensitive data throughout the galaxy. These are serious charges." "I accept those charges," Alex replied, her voice steady. "But I ask that before you judge me, you consider what that information revealed, that this very council voted in secret to potentially eliminate my entire species, and that multiple council members have been developing technologies designed to manipulate the future of all our peoples." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Alex continued, "Instead of more secrets and more suspicion, I propose something different. A Galactic Transparency Act that would make all council votes public and establish an independent organization to monitor potentially dangerous technologies across all species." To Alex's surprise, Ambassador Zixtalar of the Andorian Federation stood. "I second this proposal. 5 years ago, I cast the vote that saved humanity. Today, I believe humanity may save us all from our own secrets." One by one, representatives from previously hostile species, including the Zalari, rose to support the proposal. The age of secrets was indeed ending. As the council voted to establish the Transparency Act, Alex saw Jack and Lyra watching from a balcony above. They had succeeded. Humanity was safe, at least for now, and perhaps the galaxy would be better for what they had done. Later, as Alex stood looking out at the 3 moons of Centauri Prime, Ambassador Zixtalar approached her. "You've changed everything," the Andorian said. "For better or worse, the age of secrets is over." "No," Alex replied, watching as humans and aliens worked together in the council chamber behind them. "The age of cooperation has just begun."